Alex ready.
A little icy patch left over.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, if we can get everybody to please move up as close as you can this way. As close as you can this way.
Are we taking questions?
Yes, no problem. Alex. Sorry.
We're about to start. Thank you guys for being here.
You look great. Let me just see where Melanie is.
Oh, hey, Dave. You'll take a lot of photos. APT. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex.
Oh, yeah. And we can slide that over so we can block all the speakers. Here, you want to get here?
No, I'm gonna back you guys up.
Thank you.
No. Rockland County Legislator, go ahead. But again, and here comes Monic, so I wonder if
Good morning. We're about to start. Give us a few seconds. Thank you very much for being here. Oh, is Sam here?
We're going to keep.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine.
I'll look for him.
Okay. Good morning, afternoon. Oh, Sam, come on over. I'm Senator Pat Fahy. I'm joined, this is a very last-minute press event. This is a joint day of action that we are kicking off today with New York City. My colleague, Assemblymember Tony Simone, and a whole host of colleagues coming together in light of the horrific shooting yesterday by an ICE agent of a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, but it's also to talk about a host of issues that we hope to work on during this session. You are going to momentarily hear from my colleague, Gabriella, just go around, sir. Gabriella Romero. We have Council Member Arthur Lumpkin, County Legislator Dustin Reedy. Paul Tonko's office is represented through Monic. Alahi, I'm sorry, I thought I was saying, yeah, okay. And we have a few other speakers that you will hear from momentarily. But today, I am something we don't usually start our press events with, but we must take a moment of silence for Renee Nicole Good, who was shot and killed by an ICE agent yesterday in Minneapolis. She leaves behind a wife and a 6-year-old child. So if I can, a brief moment of silence, please. Thank you so much. It was important because that is what has spurred on today's event, again in coordination with many of our colleagues in New York City. We have reached an unthinkable point where we have masked, rogue, terribly trained federal agents shooting now even U.S. citizens, let alone other residents, in our communities and on our city and suburban streets. Her death symbolizes something extremely disturbing. We are living amidst what is becoming a reign of terror in our streets on U.S. land and right here in America.
Right.
But instead, we have the head of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, labeling her a domestic terrorist.
That's not right.
We are not buying the spin. We are not buying this misinformation. These paramilitary type tactics, this paramilitary style federal agents are now gunning down citizens and residents again on our suburban and urban streets. We are stepping into very dangerous territory in this country. Nothing is normal here. And to all the young people, because I say this to my daughter all the time, do not accept this. This is not normal. That's right. This is not who we are. This is America. This is not acceptable. Nothing about this is normal. This is an extrajudicial type shooting. Again, in this case of a U.S. citizen, but whether a citizen, a resident, somebody with immigration proceedings, it doesn't matter. This is beyond the beyond. To all of you, again, do not normalize this. We need immigration reform. We have needed it for years. Many of us have called for immigration reform. This is not how you get it. This is not the way to do it. Who is next in this country? Who is next with this type of terror on our city streets? And what does this do? What do these types of tactics do? They undermine all of law enforcement. Yep. Especially in Minneapolis, where they have spent years after the horrific murder of George Floyd, rebuilding that community trust, doing so much, because law enforcement doesn't work when you don't have community trust. And this is undermining all of that. So here in New York State, I have never been more anxious to get back to work. We have a host of bills. I am incredibly proud to sponsor a number of them, whether it is my melt bill to take off the masks. Take off those masks. Getting ICE out of our communities, the radar bill. We need collective data. We need data on what is going on. We've got to have better data. We need New York for All. I am not the sponsor, but I'm a darn proud co-sponsor. There are a host of bills. You will hear about another one momentarily. The point is, we've got work to do, but enough is enough. Again, who's next? Is anybody really safe with these types of tactics? And with that, I want to turn to my colleague, who, again, we'd have, had this been earlier yesterday, I think we'd have dozens of colleagues here. But my colleague in the New York Assembly, Gabriela Romero. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Fahy. Thank you, Senator, for being such a champion and being a great mentor of mine in the Senate. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is an incredible turnout for such a heinous and terrifying execution that happened yesterday in Minneapolis. ICE committed this crime in broad daylight, on camera, for the whole world to see. I am disgusted. I know I'm not alone in that feeling, for this unabashed disregard for human life. Now, the federal government is clearly lying right now about the obvious facts that we've all seen with our own eyes. They claim that the officer was in danger or was acting in self-defense, and I believe that that's complete and utter bullshit. This lie, this obvious lie, serves a real purpose. By defending this unconscionable act, they're signaling to other agents that no matter what they do, they'll be protected by Trump. They'll be protected by the Trump administration. They want ICE agents to attack people and families, and they want to arrest people by all means necessary. And that's why the truth here is extremely important. And that's why it's so critical that all of you are out here right now. And that's why it's so important that we don't normalize this type of behavior. It is not normal to fire a gun at a U.S. citizen. That is not normal to do things like that. Our law enforcement agents are not supposed to act like that. It is not normal. And thank you, Senator Fahy, for saying that. We should not be normalizing this type of behavior. This egregious misuse of power endangers our communities, our country, and our shared values. And now, this hateful rhetoric against our immigrant neighbors has proved fatal, and it needs to stop now.
Yes.
ICE has terrorized our neighborhoods here in the 109th Assembly District, tearing mothers and fathers away from our children, kidnapping people in front of mosques, places of worship. Last year, they kidnapped someone in front of a school bus full of children in Guilderland. That is not right. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And it's terrible. When is that going to stop? Where does the line draw? When our rights are attacked, what do? Stand up. Exactly. We've been subjected to brazen acts of fascist overreach by the federal government, and people are far too often left without legal recourse. This cannot continue. New Yorkers need a recourse to be able to fight back, and that's why I've introduced a bill this past year called the New York Civil Rights Act. With Senator Myrie, this bill will allow New Yorkers a direct way to enforce their federal constitutional rights when government actors violate those rights by creating a state cause of action in state court, a more accessible court, that allows them to sue the government actors when they violate their constitutional rights. As a lawyer, I think that's very important, that you have an ability to sue and protect your rights, because rights without consequences is nothing. It's nothing. This will allow us to protect our neighbors from fascist overreach, but it will also allow examples like universities that are getting their grant funding cut off because they're speaking out. It'll allow media companies, for example, that are being punished by the FCCs for unfavorable Trump coverage, or things like retaliatory tax audits from the IRS and a myriad of other things. New Yorkers across the state are rightfully looking for protection, accountability, and safety from their leaders. The bills that we stand in support of today, the MELT Act, as mentioned by Senator Fahy, RADAR, New York Civil Rights Act, and New York for All, most importantly, have become a necessity here in New York. The time to pass these bills are yesterday or last year, but this year, most importantly, we need to do it. It cannot wait. New Yorkers cannot wait any longer. I do not want to wait any longer. I will always stand unapologetically in support of our immigrant neighbors, and most importantly, I was elected to represent every single person in the 109th Assembly District, including my immigrant neighbors. I will continue to be unapologetic about that. Thank you so much for coming here today. This is important. Next, I'm going to turn it over to our city auditor, Sam Fine, who was just elected to represent the city. Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. I want to start out by thanking Senator Fahy and Assemblymember Romero for taking action quick and organizing this rally. We're here because a woman was killed by ICE. I've watched the video. I'm sure many people, not most people here, have watched the video. And
There's no sound
okay.
system. We just gotta...
I've watched the video. I know a lot of people here have watched the video. What we see is deeply disturbing. It was clearly a killing that was unjustified. It was unprovoked. And a woman lost her life because of that. The person who pulled the trigger, the ICE agent, needs to be held accountable. But it's also important that we recognize that this didn't happen in a vacuum. This is what happens when the federal government ramps up deportations at all costs, fast hiring, large bonuses, insufficient training, and little care for human judgment or human dignity. This is an inhumane system where people are being rounded up in secrecy, taken from their homes and workplaces, families torn apart, and we've even seen locally too, a lot of people who even have work permits who are here legally, who have green cards, being rounded up. We see this in Albany. We've had, there have been families, Afghan families, people who risk their lives to help the U.S. military in Afghanistan, who came here for their safety, who have been rounded up and deported. This is not about enforcement. This is a betrayal of the people who risk their lives to help us. This isn't just about scale. It's about accountability pushed aside, oversight is resisted, and due process is treated as optional. This is what happens when a government is hostile to accountability. I want to bring up in Albany with our law enforcement, we have real, in Albany with our law enforcement, we have real accountability structures.
We have real accountability.
I'll try to be loud. We have real accountability because the people demanded accountability.
We demanded accountability.
And we ultimately put it out to the voters, and the voters voted overwhelmingly to give our Civilian Police Review Board real teeth, to give them subpoena power. Well, that doesn't exist at the federal level, and whatever did exist at the federal level has been stripped away by the Trump administration. So what do? We need to demand justice. We need to demand that the person responsible is held accountable, but also that our systems have accountability built into them, that they have due process. We need to demand justice. So that's why we're all here today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's fight together to push for a more fair, just, accountable system.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sam, our new city auditor. Thank you for being here. We also have a couple of other local electeds who have joined us, and that is Mert Simpson, a county legislator, as well as Susan Petto, county legislator. But now we're going to pivot to hear from Jahira Roldan with the New York Immigration Coalition, a group I've worked with for many, many years. But let me add, this is more than about immigration. This is about who we are as Americans. And keep in mind, everyone on U.S. soil has rights, has constitutional rights of due process. As Sam just said, it is not optional. Everyone has rights. So whether they are citizens, residents, newcomers, they have rights. And I should add, we are a nation of immigrants. All of us. All of us. Some forced, some not. And one of the groups, there are many groups represented here. I know the Columbia County Sanctuary Movement, many groups, but we're about to hear from Jahira Roldan with, again, NYIC. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome, everybody. Woo! My name is Jahira Roldan, and I am the manager of organizing and strategy for the New York Immigration Coalition, proudly representing the Capital Region. We all know why we're here today. Yesterday, we saw how federal government has been weaponized against all of us, not just Renee. The murder of Renee in Minneapolis happened at the hands of violent, careless, intentional ICE agents carrying out a mission deeply rooted in xenophobia and a commitment to destabilize communities, including immigrants. This behavior is not only lawless, but it is cruel.
That's right.
This is an indication of the type of violence that our immigrant neighbors are facing every day. If this attorney, a trained professional who will fight tirelessly and swiftly and professionally to make sure that they are released and not moved like animals throughout our country just so they fall through the mass deportation machine. We are urging at the New York Immigration Coalition and the Care for Immigrant Families Coalition for the state legislature to invest $175 million next year, to meet the pressing legal needs of immigrant communities in New York. These are unprecedented attacks. We've never seen anything like this. And as New Yorkers, we cannot stand idly by as this happens right before our eyes. I know that if this were to happen to me, I can count on all of y'all to be here. Remember to show up for those who did not reach the headlines. By becoming the first state to take a position and not allow the federal government to walk over our process, our justice, New York can take a position and stand for the Access to Representation Act to fully invest. We must defend immigrant New Yorkers to not only make immigrant communities safer, but our own. Renee was born on this land, and they took her out without remorse. They are feeding us narratives that will pit us against each other, but we know the truth. ICE does not make us safer. We make us safer.
Thank you.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you again to all of the New York Immigration Coalition. They are doing a lot of work, and it is appreciated, it is needed, and I want to thank everyone who has shown up today with such last-minute notice. Again, all of this started because we're piggybacking off of what they are doing in New York City as we stand here. So this is a joint day of action with a host of our legislative colleagues. We have one more speaker, and that is Layla Kios with the Albany Indivisible, but it really is on behalf of a number of the indivisible groups, and again, I'm sorry if I didn't name all of those who are working, but we need more than just the groups who are working on behalf of immigrants. This is all of us. This is all of us and how we want people, anyone in our community treated. Everyone should care about masked rogue agents in our streets. And with that, Layla, thank you.
Thank you.
Layla, sorry.
No, it's Layla. You had it right the first time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Great. First thing, let's call these people what they are. People keep referring to them as federal agents. They are thugs. They are thugs. All right? Let's get that straight. Okay, and I want to say thank you to Senator Fahy and Assemblymember Romero for leading the charge on legislation that New York can undertake to fight back against this. But I have a message for the rest of the legislature and the Democratic governor. This is a Democratic state. We control every branch of government. And it's high time that you act like it. We have the Statue of Liberty on our shore. We have, as New York Staters, a special obligation to lead this fight against this regime. We need to be out in front. Now, to the local leaders that are here, thank you. But there is more to be done. All politics is local. You have power in your legislative branches everywhere to do something. You can enact local laws. You can do more. You must do more. Now, to the local law enforcement. I see you across the street, and I'm speaking to you now. You took
an oath to protect and serve your community, not ICE. When ICE comes into a community to terrorize, to kill, to kidnap, your obligation is to intervene and protect that community. Taking a hands-off approach, saying we don't cooperate with ICE is not enough. When they murdered that woman in the street yesterday, Renee Good, they should have treated that as a crime scene, because that's what it was.
It will be.
Now, finally, to the people watching, to the people that are here, never forget that the people in power, like the folks standing behind me, only have that power because you said so. And if you want to know who's going to stop this regime, pick up a mirror, because it's you. Thank you.
Thank you. Myself and Gabriela Romero are about to take questions. I want to end on a positive note for all of those that showed up today. Just yesterday, we got news that Avello Airlines, yes, Avello Airlines is ending their deportation service. I carried that bill. I got to give a shout out to Jake Egloff in my office. Carried that bill. We mimicked a little bit of what Connecticut was doing. My sponsor on that is Mikhail Solage, Assemblywoman Mikhail Solage. Obviously, Gabriela Romero is a co-sponsor. It is those collective actions, the protests, other states, Connecticut, Illinois. I'm working with about 8 states who said similar safe air bills. Those bills mattered. My bill never passed. It was on the docket for this year, but it didn't pass. But those collective efforts mattered because of these protests, because of people like Susan Petto in the Albany County legislature calling it out. So let's end on good news. Avello got the message. They're done doing deportations. So keep in mind, please, keep showing up. With that, we'll take questions on topic, please.
Senator and Assemblymember, just curious what you think. Is this a budget conversation? How soon do you think this will pick up to take action in Albany?
I often say I've never been more anxious to come back to work. And I can't believe she asked if this is going to be a budget conversation or if this will precede some of that. Everything ties into the budget. The budget dominates the first 4 months. Many of our colleagues are anxious to get back to work. If we can't accomplish some of this before the budget, we'd like to make some of this a budget conversation. I'll also let my colleague.
Yeah, it's funny. We always say we don't like to have policy in the budget, as I'm sure the senator would agree. However, if we could get some of this positive policy that we do like, it would be helpful. Yep. But either way, we want to see it pass this year.
I don't think we can wait. We've all been anxious to get back to work. Not that we don't work in the off 6 months. That's when we came up with these bills in the off session. But we are anxious to move on this. And I think yesterday, again, we are crossing into very dangerous territory here.
Right.
This is beyond immigration. This is who we are as a country and what America stands for, what America means. So let's hope we're not letting it go, whether it's in or a part of the budget. Thank you.
Do you think the governor will, so last year, New York for All, the leadership seemed to be hesitant to do it.
Yes.
Now it's a big election year. Do you feel like that will help or hurt your chances of that actually getting across the line?
As I remind people all the time, there are always 10,000 bills in play at any given time. Yes, New York for All, which I co-sponsor, Gabriela Romero co-sponsors, and we support. If we need to work on it, we're going to work on it, but that is a priority bill for many of us, and I think many of these other bills fall in line with that or under the same umbrella. We are anxious to see that move, but it's no secret we have a lot of work to do. I was very pleased that our majority leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, mentioned it yesterday. I understand the governor even made some references, not to New York for All, but about immigration this morning on the morning talk shows, including on related bills that you heard the Assemblywoman talk about. So we know we cannot wait. And that is our position. We're obviously not leadership.
Senator and Assemblymember, as we stand here calling for accountability for ICE, how are we also going to ensure that all law enforcement remain accountable, given the police brutality that exists outside of ICE, but with law enforcement across the state?
As you know, the governor just signed a prison reform package. I think what happened yesterday shows the real difference. I saw the police chief of Minneapolis on all the national networks yesterday trying to explain the difference and trying to explain just how ill-prepared and just how poorly those federal rogue agents acted yesterday. So we will continue to work on that, but I commend the governor for signing the the prison reform bill. I look at all of this collectively. We in this state have invested millions. In fact, just last year, 2025, in our budget, we invested another $40 million for body cameras for our prison guards as well as additional military. So we are moving in the right direction here in New York. And by the way, most of our state and local law enforcement welcome those body cameras because transparency keeps all of us safer. Other question? Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, yeah. So as it relates to law enforcement and prisons and local jails, I commend the governor for signing the omnibus bill. It's definitely a step in the right direction. But I think that there's a lot of reform that needs to happen on our local jails. And as a state...
More work to come.
More work needs to be done as it relates to prison oversight. I commend the governor for her work in signing the prison omnibus bill, but there is a lot of work that personally I believe needs to be done as it relates to oversight of local jails. I will be introducing a bill that allows for comprehensive reform and oversight of local jails on the state level.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I addressed that.
Can you repeat the question? Yeah. And can you speak louder?
So I said, despite, messaging here today and the protests and all that, there will be Americans that choose to believe what the federal administration is saying, their take on things. What is your message to that? How do you respond to that?
I addressed that in my earlier remarks. And as did the Assemblywoman. We are already seeing the spin. We saw Kristi Noem, the head of Homeland Security, call Nicole Good a domestic terrorist. It is outrageous. It's misinformation. It's wrong. It's lies. It's you pick your adjective. The point is, watch the video yourself. I plead with young people all the time. There is nothing normal about this. These are unprecedented times. This is unacceptable on every level. So we are urging people, do not buy the spin. Do not buy what is coming out. Read, look, read for yourself. We just heard it again, and we've heard it from our police chief here. Law enforcement is trained to de-escalate. De-escalate. Everything about yesterday was wrong. Everything. Okay, next.
I'll take the next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just curious how, if any of these policies, how about enforcing them, and what about retaliation from the federal government? For, what would
Yeah.
they do?
I can at least speak on my bill, and I'm sure the senator as well. We're working with other states that have passed similar bills and working with constitutional scholars to anticipate a potential legal challenge, at least for the New York Civil Rights Act. We're looking at other states, for example, like Chicago, that passed a bill that specifically the question was, are you looking at challenges, legal challenges to the bill or potential...
How will you enforce it? Can you trump federal law?
Yes, you can. And at least in my, not trump federal law, and so to speak, but for the New York Civil Rights Act, you're creating a state cause of action to enforce your federal constitutional rights. That's explicitly allowed under the Supreme Court case Bivens, and you are allowed to explicitly do the... there's a concept called Converse 1983 for any constitutional scholars in the room. And so we're working with constitutional law experts and other people around the United States that are doing similar laws. Like in Chicago, they passed a law like this, but it focuses on ICE, which we think is more ripe for a constitutional challenge. Our bill focuses on all government agents, so that we think that it will be more ripe to pass legal muster. Do you want to talk about your bill?
I just, on a number of these bills, even the mask, we've already seen the governor of California, Governor Newsom, adopt unmasking ICE. So similar legislation. Are all of these being challenged in the courts? You bet. I'm 3 years now on a bill I did on gun manufacturers still being tied up in the courts, social media. So of course they're going to be challenged. But in the meantime, we've got to call it out. But that's part of why it's not just the legislation. We think they'll pass legal muster. We are always working with lawyers, including constitutional ones. We think we have found a narrow path. The reason a Velo airline stood down is because they knew we were about to hit them in the pocketbook.
Right.
We subsidize airline fuel taxes. We subsidize airline fuel taxes, so we were hitting them in the pocketbook because we said we're no longer going to subsidize. So there are paths forward on each of these bills. It's just a matter of how much they will be challenged and how aggressive we can be. But we think we've got it. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please keep showing up. Thank you.
I'm like there's a video of me like. Okay.